Hey, how's it going? It's Mark, and today I thought I'd do a completely different type of video. I've been doing Plan With Me's this year. We've done all types of other collaborations, but to end out this year, I thought, let's do a Q&A. I asked for questions here on YouTube and also on Instagram and Facebook, and I got a lot of them. So I thought I would just do a much more relaxed type approach to today's video and go through some of these and answer some of the questions that you all had. So let's go ahead and get started. ASL. So if you're familiar with the old chat room days, that stands for age, sex, and location. So my age, 37, I'll be 38 in February. For sex, I identify as male. And for location, I live in Maryland in the United States. That was easy enough. The next one, what's my go-to everyday pen? All right, so my go-to everyday pen is actually back over here. It's this guy right here. This is the Uniball Signo DX with the .38, so it's a fine tip pen. I've been through a lot of pens. I love pens. I got a lot of stationery over here. I've got a lot of different brands, and I do love them all equally for different things. But the Uniball Signo is just really nice and easy to write with. It's an inexpensive pen, and you can get these really cheap. I have like a box of them, literally a box of them, that I always have inside of my desk because I just love them so much. My next question here is any pet peeves or dislikes about the bullet journal system? I think this person is looking for some bullet journal tea. If I'm really thinking about what I don't like about the bullet journal system, I don't really have a whole lot that I would say about the system itself. I think the method is really great. I've obviously used it for a long time now, and it's working well for me. I think if anything, what I don't like is some of the things that go on inside of the community around bullet journaling, like the bullet journal method specifically, and then creative bullet journaling. But while they are still inside the same realm, I know there's a lot of people who feel very strongly one way or the other. So I think my only pet peeve is that some people believe that it has to only be one way. I'm a strong believer that the system needs to work for everyone. So it's really important to make it work for you and just be respectful of other people and how they choose to use their journal. All right, next question. How did I get into journaling and when? So I got into bullet journaling from a friend of mine, Monique. This was years ago, 2017. Well, let me rephrase that. She told me about bullet journaling a little bit before I actually started with it, probably a lot of it before I started working with it, because she knew that I was interested in trying to find a better way of organizing myself. I was a really big fan of Evernote back in the day, and I just dumped everything into my Evernote, but I wasn't getting anything out. I wasn't being super productive. I was just retaining information there. And she told me about the system, and she introduced it to me. And I was really intrigued by it. I thought it was very cool, but it seemed like a lot at first, and it really threw me off. And I was just like, look, that's signifiers, these are dots, and I'm just trying to remember the things I have to do. And so, she told me about it and said, hey, you do your thing, because that's how awesome she is. And then probably a few years later, or a little bit later after she told me about it, this was April of 2017, I decided that this is what I was going to do. I was going to go ahead and commit myself to it and try it out. And I did, and here I am a few years later still keeping up with it. The next question is, do you listen to any Nigerian music while I'm bullet journaling? It's a very specific question there. I don't listen to Nigerian music while I'm bullet journaling. I don't really listen to any type of specific music other than, I guess, like pop music in that realm. I just have the music that I like. It's usually upbeat. It usually is something that makes me feel really good. And that's what's playing some of the times while I'm bullet journaling. Sometimes, to be very honest though, I just have my notebook wherever I am and I'm just doing my thing there. So music isn't always an option. But if I am listening to music, it's something usually pop related. All right, the next question is, how did I get fond of bullet journaling? So the honest answer is, how do I get fond of it? I kept doing it. At first, I was excited about it. I was excited to try something new. But when you first start with this system, at least in my own experience, I found it to be very hard. And I think the reason why is that there was a lot of concepts that I was trying to understand all at once. I didn't fully understand how this entire method worked together. And I was like, okay, let's just try this out. And I was like, all right, we'll make that happen. And then I also started to look online, and I was seeing something totally different than what I was seeing from Ryder Carroll and from the bullet journaling website. And I was just confused and I didn't quite know what it is exactly that I wanted to do with it. So really the answer to that question is I just kept doing it though. I became fond of it by finding my own way and trying to understand how to use this. And then when I started to see the positive effects of it, then I was like, okay, this is it for me. But early on, it was definitely hard. I don't know that I ever was like, yep, this is it, went in for it. I mean, there was some days, honestly, where I wouldn't use my bullet journal at all. I think I even went once like 2 weeks without it. And I just started to lose my focus and I realized, okay, this is my moment. This is my aha moment here. I haven't used it for 2 weeks. I feel like I'm all over the place and I don't have my stuff straight. So it must have been working for me. So that was my moment where I realized, okay, this is my thing. I'm fond of bullet journaling. Next question is, how do I find the motivation to journal every single day? So this answer for me is very straightforward because I use my bullet journal for work. And so I work Monday through Friday, so it's always in use. So for me, the motivation comes out of a need. I need to write these things down. I need to take these notes. I need to do my job. And because I'm using this as a tool therefore it's kind of all works together. But on the weekends, if it's helpful, I don't really use it a lot on the weekends other than trying to plan for the next week that's coming up or maybe take a look at previous things. Just depends what I'm in the mood for, to be honest. But during the week, it's 100% every single day because that's where I do all my work. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this next question. This question is, they're curious about the behind the scenes of the start of my relationship with Archer and Olive and other affiliate programs. So this is actually a really good question, I think, because perhaps a lot of people who are working inside of this space aren't familiar with affiliate programs or even how to make connections with brands. So I'll break this down into two parts. The first part is my relationship with Archer and Olive actually happened. I still consider myself very lucky for it to even be associated with them. But I got associated with them through another chat group that I'm in on Instagram. It started as one of those engagement groups, and then it morphed into more of just like a community chat group. And I believe that Bonnie was invited or she was already a part of this group. And next thing I know, it just became just a natural relationship. A lot of the individuals that were part of this group were also associated with that or got involved with Archer and Olive themselves. I had the great opportunity of, really talking with Bonnie and just understanding what she was trying to do. And I remember her offering me a notebook and I thought that was like crazy. Like, why do you feel comfortable sending me a notebook? Like, I'm just this little guy over here, like doing my thing. And from there, we just created a really good relationship. And I really love working with her as an individual, but also I absolutely love the Archer and Olive brand and what they stand for. And I also really like their notebooks. So it's worked out really well. The question also talked about affiliates. So the affiliate part of Archer and Olive actually came out of a different program that I was already a part of. So I was asked to be an affiliate as a part of Baron Fig. And if you follow me on Instagram and even on this channel, we've talked about Baron Fig and their notebooks. And at that point, it was my first one. I had no idea what that meant or anything else. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And I signed up with it and I thought it was really awesome. And I started to ask questions around Archer and Olive and to Bonnie and say, hey, do you also have an affiliate program? I was already talking about their notebooks. I had no problem with that at all. And also friends of mine were saying, hey, Mark, do you have like a discount code that we can use or anything like that? And at that point, there wasn't one. And I'm not saying that I'm the reason that they started an affiliate program by any means, but I do remember asking some questions around it. So when it came time for the affiliate program to start, they were like, hey, Mark, you were just asking about this. So do you want to be a part of this affiliate program too? And I said, absolutely. So it started off very small and very innocent. And now the affiliate program is grown pretty large. I said I was going to be very honest with this. I've done well with the affiliate program, but that's through the support of individuals here. And more than anything, it's not so much about, making, some extra money on the side. Like, I just love being able to give people like a discount code to try something out because it can be intimidating if you're not really sure if you're going to like something at first. Same thing with the Baron Fig, same thing with Archer and Olive or anything else that I'm a part of as an affiliate. I think it's just a really great way for me to be able to say, hey, if you want to try this, here's a discount code that you can use to try it out. It just happens to be, it's a great way for others to support me with, my side hobby, which has been this bullet journal account. All right, let's take a look at the next one. What's my favorite thing about being a part of the bullet journal community? So this is an easy one. It's everyone a part of the community. The support that I get from others in this community still blows my mind. One of the questions that's coming up has to do about being a guy inside of this bullet journal community that's mostly female. I feel like everyone was always super open and accepting of me and what I was trying to do. I love that people look at it as just a different way to do the same thing that we're all doing. And for me, that's what I also like to do too. So I love interacting with this community. I love how supportive this community is. I'm trying my best right now to do that for others, is like I was looking for when I was starting, by getting my name out there and having other people see my work. So I just want to put the good vibes out that I was getting in, and that I want to also continue to see from this community as well. All right, next question. Does my wife bullet journal? So the answer to that is no, she doesn't bullet journal. She's a teacher, so she does have a planner book that she uses, but she's not using any certain method inside of there other than what she already knows about being a teacher and planning and doing things like that. But she does have a few dot grid notebooks that I've given to her, but she uses those more for art and ideas and things like that, not so much bullet journaling. But I am trying to get my kids into it. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to. All right, next question. When do you fill in your bullet journal? During the day or at night? For me, I do it, I would say, during the day, because I'm using my bullet journal for work. It's being worked in constantly during the day, and then most of the time when I'm done with work and I'm done down here and with what I'm doing, I close it and I go upstairs and I go into the rest of my evening. And then I don't really get back to it to the following day. So the only time I do work in it at night would be usually like Sunday nights before Monday, just planning out for the week, getting my spread together and what I need to get done. So hopefully that answers the question a little bit. How did you get to where you are now? What's a brief history of your life? So I will take that as kind of my adult life, or like career life, maybe, to get to where I am now, because that's kind of the most interesting part. I don't think you want to hear about how and where I was born and everything else along those lines. So from a career standpoint, in high school, I felt that I wanted to be an architect. I thought that was going to be my thing. I realized that you had to know a lot of math, and I was not awesome at math. I'm still not great at math. I decided that I wasn't going to go to college right away. I didn't think it was my deal. And the reason was because I met someone at one of the college fairs who worked in broadcasting. And he was like, hey, we'd love to have you come and check out the school. It's a very focused kind of trade school that you'll go to, and it's not very long, and you learn everything you need to learn, and then we're gonna send you out there to be a DJ. And at that point, I thought that was fantastic. I was working at Center Stage Theater in Baltimore in their telemarketing department, calling people, bugging them to buy subscriptions. And everyone would say, hey, Mark, you've got a great voice. Like, you should do something with this. I don't know what to do with it. But when those two things met, it was like, hey, here's a broadcasting school and people tell you you've got a good voice. This makes sense. And I loved music, so it worked out pretty well. So I went to broadcasting school. I've worked at a few radio stations. I did that for about almost 5 years. I worked at a country station, I worked at a rock station, and I also worked at a hip hop and R&B station for a while. Different story, another day. So I was doing that. That wasn't fully paying the bills, so I also had a job at Secrets, which is a nightclub in Ocean City, and I was working in their AV department, and I was editing video, and I was working in the nightclub, recording video and doing all of the AV stuff there. And I met up with a guy who had run a fashion show there, and he was like, hey, you do video editing, you were editing these commercials, come and work for me, and I'm gonna pay you a good amount of money to do that. And I was like, yep, I'm poor, let's make it happen. So I was working like 3 or 4 jobs. That job took me to Miami for a little bit. The business went under. That brought me back to Maryland. My wife and I have been together since our junior year in high school. So she was at college, I was back not doing anything. And I was like, okay, what happens now? That job ended. I was working at like Borders Books. And then finally my wife was like, hey, you need to go back to school because it's gonna be super helpful for you. So I went to school and I got a degree in graphic design. And from there, I got an internship at Black & Decker. And I worked there for a number of years and a few back and forths. And then I got my job where I am currently. So it's always been inside of like digital design and things like that. And then in 2017, while I was working in my current job, I decided to pick up bullet journaling. And I decided that I was going to start a social media hobby account just to post things that I was finding and going through. And this has just picked up over the years since 2017, and it's brought me to here now. So there's a lot of details inside of there. Happy to talk more about those if you're ever interested, but that's a not so brief history of how I got to where I am right now. But there we go. All right, next question is, do I have any hobbies outside of bullet journaling? The answer to that question is my only real hobby outside of bullet journaling are succulents and houseplants. That's not really a hobby, but I really like them. And I think my other hobbies are all related to bullet journaling, running social media and digital marketing. I really like. I love editing videos and being a part of that process. So that's there too. So most of my hobbies all revolve around, well, bullet journaling and plants. All right, so the next question here is, how do you incorporate decorative spreads with productivity? So I don't know that I've mastered this, but I do it a lot. For me, it's starting foundationally and making sure that the functionality is there first. And then from there, I just build on top of that. So I will start with kind of a very basic productive spread, or what I think will be productive, and then I add the design on top of that. So whether it's using color or using different shapes or whatever that might be, or some stickers, I add that in, but after I have what I need to do what I need to do from a productivity standpoint. All right, so the next question that we have here is one that I get asked a lot, and it's, why do you think that bullet journaling is mainly a female world, and then how can we welcome more men? So the answer to that question, as I've always said, is I just think that more women and females are just posting on social media about it more, and therefore you're just seeing a lot more women in the space. I know that there's plenty of guys that bullet journal. I'm a part of a number of bullet journaling groups. I just think that a lot of guys just aren't posting as much about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that just happens to be what it looks like. I mean, the whole reason I started my account really was to try to surface more guys' content, because I wasn't seeing a lot of it for myself when I first started. But that doesn't mean that it's not out there. There's a handful of guys that are doing an amazing job, many of them much better than I'm doing here, but I love being a part of this community. I think from the standpoint of how can we support more guys, I would encourage other guys that you may know that are bullet journaling to get inside of this community. Post if they're interested in doing that. If not, if you see other guys' content out there, give them a follow, give them a like, comment if you like what they're doing, think it's good. But other than that, I think that's the best of my answer I can give you there. All right, I just talked about this for just a second, but what's the story behind your username? Why do you call yourself MENWHOBULLET? So this is an interesting one because, as I just mentioned, when I first started my account, aside from trying to document my own journey with bullet journaling, I wasn't seeing a lot of other guys in this community. And every now and again, I can get a little selfish about things. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to create an account that is just going to feature my own bullet journaling and other guys. And that is it. And I'm going to focus because this is a underserved part of this community. That's what my brain, I thought I was going to be the voice of the guys who were bullet journaling. But the reality there is that, well, first I'm not. And I don't know why I thought that I was going to be that person. But more importantly, there's so many great artists in this community that I really felt like I was going to leave people out. And that is not what I wanted to do at all. So the thing is, early on, and I picked the name Men Who Bullet because it was like, okay, this is going to be an account for other men who bullet journal. But then it just sort of became my thing, and then it became a brand. And next thing I know, I had multiple accounts, on different platforms and a website, and I just kind of branded it Men Who Bullet. I don't know. I think if I think about it now, I'd probably change it to like Men Who Bullets or something along the lines of that. Who knows? Or something different. But at this point now, I'm pretty far along in the game. I feel like changing my name now maybe wouldn't serve me well. But I also don't know that the name has always served me well, to be honest, because I think early on a lot of people thought that this was just an account for guys and that, no one else was allowed to be a part of it, or I wasn't interested. And that's just extremely untrue. I absolutely love the relationships and the community here. So that's how I got my name. I keep it because I'm pretty far down this rabbit hole now, what I've called myself, and I'm just going to keep going with it. So know that I'm here for everyone. I'm not only here for guys, but I'm definitely a guy in this community, which, as we just talked about, not a whole lot of those. So be my friend. All right, we got a few of these left. Other than productivity, what kind of other things have you noticed have been helpful from bullet journaling? I think for me, focus is probably the biggest thing, aside from productivity. It's related, but being able to write something down and focus and know exactly what I need to work on, that for me has been the biggest help. I will forget things if I don't write them down, so having them there is helpful, and just knowing where they are and where I am in the process is super helpful too. So I would say focus. Would you ever consider growing food in addition to your houseplants? That's a great question. I don't know. I've never had a garden before. I love succulents because they kind of take care of themselves. Houseplants are along the same lines. I just have to water them, but I've never grown food other than like herbs or something like that. So would I consider it? Sure, why not? Could I do it? No, I'm pretty sure I'd kill everything. Not intentionally. I mean, I'd love to watch them grow. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, next one. How do you fix a mistake in your journal when you mess up? So I actually did a video on this. I'll pop that up over here for you on how I cover up my mistakes. But the best explanation I have, or the best things to do, are a few things. First thing, always work in pencil first. That reduces the mistakes that you might make. If you do make a mistake in your bullet journal, stop for a second, like take a step back and be like, okay, how can I turn that into something else? It's kind of like Bob Ross, right? Like, it's gonna be a little tree over here, or like a little bird or something. I just think it's, don't get too overworked about it. I think if you really think about it and you're laying it out great, cross it out, use a darker color, throw an opaque marker or paint pen over top of it, put a sticker over it, and move along. I think this is the best way to look at it. You don't have to share your mistakes with anyone. You don't have to show your notebook to anybody. But if you are doing that, there's a lot of other ways you can get around mistakes. And guess what? We're all human and it happens. But I think the best way is just to find a more creative way to work around it. All right, and the last question here. How do you get over a bullet journal slump and feeling unmotivated to bullet journal? I think this is a great question because right now I think a lot of individuals are feeling that way. You're not going to work, you're not going out, you don't have as many events and things going on, and a lot of people are like, hey, done. I'm not going to use my bullet journal because I don't have anything to write in there. I think it's just refinding your passion behind it and finding maybe something else to journal about. I use mine for work, so therefore I need to use it every single day. So if you can find a way to incorporate that inside of work, do it. I think that's a great idea. If you have other hobbies or things that you're interested in, write down notes inside of there. You don't have to set up a weekly spread if you're not writing anything in your week. Or you can use smaller pages or one pages to fill those up if you feel like you're not really doing a lot there. So I would say go that route. And I don't think there's anything wrong with coming back to it later on when you're feeling more motivated or other things are going on. You can put this down and pick it back up. It's like riding a bike. And if it's making you feel worse by not using it while trying to use it, then make yourself feel better not using it, and you can always come back to it. You're not a failure. You need to take a break? Take a break. It's totally okay. All right, so there we go. That's all the questions for this first Q&A. There was a lot of them here, so appreciate you sticking around for those. If you have any other questions that I didn't answer during this Q&A, you can leave them in the descriptions below, and if I get enough questions, I will do a part 2 to Mark's Q&A. So thank you so much again for checking out this video today, and hopefully you got to learn a little bit more about me. If you haven't done so already, make sure you also follow me on my other platforms. As I mentioned during this, Instagram is a big one. It's instagram.com/menwhobullet, here on YouTube. And then I also have a blog and website, which is menwhobullet.com. Thank you so much again for watching. Have a great rest of your holiday and new year, and I'll talk to you very soon. See ya.